We think that every organization needs to quickly and effectively adapt to change. The challenge has always been how to do that. And one way people do that is through new technologies. And we've seen lots of innovation in this space. We've seen companies like Starburst and Databricks both receive major funding this year. And now that Tableau is part of Salesforce, we're trying to bring our technologies together to help organizations and people do more with data. We can't just wait for the next software release. Like, the time for change is now. We need to transform and run our businesses very quickly right now. And so we're seeing successful organizations everywhere double down on the use of data and analytics to help achieve this. And we think data is an incredibly powerful way for people to connect, to drive this kind of change. And companies are using it to navigate through these new realities that we face this year. So let's look at some examples. Let's take Starbucks. Their coffee houses are known for being that friendly place where people come together to get their coffee and connect with others in their community. But they're also a company that really knows how to use data and innovation to leverage change. So when COVID-19 hit, Starbucks had to shutter their stores for the first time ever, for the first time in history. And like many companies, they had to quickly move from this traditionally in-person experience to an all-digital one. And they had to do this while maintaining excellent service for all their customers. And today you can make your Starbucks order through your mobile app and safely pick up your drink all contactless. But it takes more than a mobile app to make that possible. So Starbucks relied on data to help transform their business pretty much overnight. It helped them really ensure that their technology and the experiences they wanted to put together worked flawlessly at every point of contact, whether it's being in store or at the curbside pickup or doing an online order delivery. So in all the conversations I've had with Starbucks, I was really impressed that how they empowered people across their organization, regardless of their position, with the right data to make the most out of any moment in their customer lifecycle. Their thinking was that you could take the value of data and the power that came from it and make it greater by making it shared between everybody that needs it. For instance, we know that Starbucks is not only a go-to destination for coffee, but they're also known for having clean bathrooms. So they developed this way for store partners, their employees, to quickly enter data about the stores they were in, which amenities were open and closed, and then surface this information not only in relevant reports, but ultimately out to all of their customers. And that's just an example of the way Starbucks is using data to really transform their customer experience and exceed those expectations. But there's a lot of organizations out there that have legacy systems and perhaps outdated processes that hold them back from really effectively using data like this. And to make matters worse, some organizations have as a norm to restrict information from others inside the organization. And we think this really needs to change. And I know this habit comes from people thinking about security, but if you're not careful, these security concerns alone can stifle the kind of transformation that companies need to do. It's really hard to transform your business when you and those around you just don't have access to the right information to make the right decisions. So we found that successful informations lean a little bit more towards how to share the best information rather than how to control it. They normalize the idea of having access to and sharing data. And in some situations, without this kind of transparency, just nothing would work. So again, rewind almost a year ago, cities across the world were trying to figure out how to best respond to this pandemic. And New York was in the eye of the storm, right? As COVID cases were really surging there. They had to activate their citywide emergency response effort. They had to coordinate across many different components of the city's emergency operations. Think, emergency call services and PPE supplies and ICU bed capacity and other things like that. These resources were all stretched to the max, and there were lives at stake. And the city really needed to make some critical decisions with trusted data that they brought together from multiple sources. So New York and some of their partnering agencies used Tableau to securely combine a bunch of data and gain visibility across all of their pandemic response efforts. They connected their data to critical external sources, partner information, public health status updates, economic indicators, government policy, et cetera, to track and manage their pandemic response. And that meant the government leaders could look at emergency call data to anticipate where maybe the next outbreak might be happening. Or ambulances could be routed to quickly to hospitals that had beds available. And without data transparency, New York would not have been able to be successful at this. So we think more organizations are going to have to lean into this way of looking at data. Because we find that when organizations can bring together their data with data from other trusted sources, they can explore even more possibilities for the use of data to drive transformation. And we think that this can be helped by having more trusted public data sources. And for this reason, we created the Tableau COVID-19 Data Hub in combination with a bunch of trusted data partners, because we wanted to provide a single destination where individuals and organizations could find data about the pandemic, like case positivity rates and how we're managing vaccines, et cetera. It also has some great dashboards so people can get started right away. But we launched this because we wanted people to have the best data about what was a really rapidly evolving health crisis. And businesses made use of it as well. So in fact, Verizon uses the data from the Data Hub in some of their dashboards to enhance their customer service during the pandemic. So with the data, they've been able to better anticipate customer needs across all the touch points they have with them, be it their call centers, their web apps, their mobile applications, even when their techs go out in the field and work with the customers directly. In addition to Verizon, we have many other global brands that are leveraging the data in the Data Hub to help improve their customer experience. Lockheed Martin, UNICEF, Deloitte Canada, Stanford Medical, I could go on and on. Lots of companies are using this data. So we think if you're trying to make the right investments right now in data, you should design a strategy to help your organization quickly and effectively adapt to change and transform how you need to transform your business. These adaptive organizations really have a culture that's nimble and durable. They've figured out how to make the right decisions fast. They don't rely on just a few data analysts to find opportunities, and they don't focus on keeping their data on lockdown. They really try and create multiple paths to help lots of people find meaningful insights. And they empower everyone across their organization to make use of data and make database decisions. So we think if you do this, you'll be able to transform your business in the way that some of the customers in my examples did today. We talk a lot about having a really good data culture inside a company. And data culture for us has a bunch of different parts. Part of it is just, making sure that people are literate in the use of data. You can do this a lot with education. You can do this a lot with having the right champions inside an organization. Part of data culture is having the right access to data, making sure that people can bring data into their decision-making by making sure it's out there. But it's also about really supporting a community. It's not really going to be just a top-down mandate. It's got to be something that you can get a lot of people involved in and really supporting and learning from each other. So, we've seen organizations be really effective by having these almost like these little mini conferences inside the business where people will come and they say, we had this problem, we wanted to take a database solution, and they'll walk people through the process of asking the right questions and collecting the right data. And then, ultimately like how they looked at the data and then the business processes they changed because of it. And that is that can set up this cycle that just reinforces itself, because people can see, people that take these database approaches, they have success, they get rewarded, they teach people around them. So build a really great data culture is the way to get this thing going across the whole organization. A lot of companies still approach data analysis in a very central way. Like, we'll have a central group, bring all the data together. We'll have a central group do all my reporting. And, that works for some things, but ultimately I think it ends up holding the business back, right? So we have to focus on, yes, getting some really well curated data together. The data that is the most important to the business that could be remixed with other things inside the business. Maybe that's got to be pulled together by a central group. But then you have to leverage the other people out in the business and their curiosity and their ability to bring their own data and to remix their data in other ways. And then have that supportive community around them where people can give them the feedback on, are you looking at this right? Is this the right way that we should be applying this data to business? I think is just part of building that healthy culture of debate and experimentation and the use of data to answer questions.